Hey guys. So today we're going to talk about this idea of the geological timescale, and our focus question is how do I use and interpret a geological timeline? So let's start talking about the history of the Earth. The Earth formed about 4.6 billion years ago. And the geological timescale is a record of the geological events and the evolution of life on Earth. The divisions that are created are made based on really important events or landmark events that help to shape life on Earth today. So this is an example of a geological timescale. So one thing I really want you to notice is that we have the eras, the Precambrian, Paleozoic, Mesozoic, and the Cenozoic. And then we have these periods. And we're not really going to focus on the idea of these eons or the epoch, but we are going to focus more on the eras and the periods. So then another thing you'll notice is these numbers down the side. And anytime you see numbers down the side with this MYA, this means millions of years ago. So, for instance, the Cretaceous period started 144 million years ago. And then if you look to the right, you see the Rocky Mountains were formed during this time. So one of the things that you can do is look and see, okay, the first reptiles were formed 320 million years ago during the Pennsylvanian era or period. So you can kind of follow this along to figure out when things happened and when things evolved, and those big things happened throughout time. Some of them also have mass extinctions recorded in, where over 50% of all the species living at that time are wiped out. So it isn't on this one, but you will see that later today when you're going through your interactive. So the eras and the areas of the Earth. There's different kinds of living things that have existed on Earth for at least 3.5 billion years. So we've had some type of living organism living on the Earth for at least 3.5 billion years. And remains or evidence of those organisms are called fossils, and these are normally found in sedimentary rock. So there's 4 types of fossils, and we're going to delve into these more tomorrow. But there are the petrified fossils, which form when minerals replace the bone, shell, or other hard part that was trapped, turning it into a rock. There's trace fossils, and these are footprints, tracks, trails, and burrows made by living things. Cast fossils, which is a mold of the shape of a living thing or its remains, and it forms when minerals or rock particles fill the space in a mold. And then there's also a mold fossil, which is a space in the rock that has the shape of the living thing that once occupied that space. So if you think about the cast and the mold, they're a little bit similar, but basically a cast can only be created if a mold fossil is already present. So geologists usually divide time into the Precambrian time or the present time. So it's either considered Precambrian or it's considered present. So there's 3 different eras between these two: the Paleozoic, the Mesozoic, and the Cenozoic. And the eras are then further divided into these things called periods. And when we think of periods, think of those ones you've heard of: Triassic, Jurassic. Those periods are within the eras. So this one's, I had to put it on its side because I wanted you to be able to see it really well. But you'll notice that there's a large chunk of time that we consider this Precambrian. And the Precambrian includes a lot of these microorganisms that were created. And then from that, we move to the Cambrian, the Ordovician, Silurian, Devonian, Carboniferous, Permian, Triassic, Jurassic, Cretaceous, Tertiary, Quaternary. You don't need to know all the names of these periods, but these eras are the big ones that you might want to remember, and these are the Cenozoic, Mesozoic, and the Paleozoic. So anything that ends in this zoic word, you know, is talking about an era. And then the pictures on the bottom here tell you like what those landforms were like. Was it glacial? Were we still having, did Pangea still occur? Did we have vascular plants? Did we have dinosaurs? Flowering plants, gymnosperms, and angiosperms. So this kind of gives you an idea of when things evolved, including hominids, which are up here in the quaternary. Go ahead and move on. Today you have an interactive to work with that walks you through with pictures of what all the different eras and periods looked like, as well as the mass extinctions. Go ahead and work your way through that and finish your packet. Once you're done, don't forget your exit ticket.